Hi lovely friends, welcome or welcome back to Tarot AF. So today I have another pick a card reading for you all on how they felt the last time they saw you. I'm super excited for this one. We're going to look at tarot cards and oracle cards to look at how they felt about you, and then we're going to get some channeled messages and songs to see what may have been bubbling under the surface that they may not have said. So in front of us, we have got 5 piles for you guys to pick from. We have pile 1, the Friends TV show tarot with the crinoline piece. We have the Tattoo tarot with the Bumblebee Jasper heart. We have pile 3 with the Orbita Tarot and the Crystal Quartz. We have pile 4 with the Mythic Tarot and the Opalite Dragon. And we have pile 5 with the Modern Witch Tarot and the Quantum Quattro Tooth. So you can take a moment, you can pause the video, meditate over it if you'd like, and then pick your pile. And what I do is I post the times in the box below and you can meet me there for your reading. I will see you then. Bye. Hi lovely friends of pile 1, so if you picked the Friends TV show tarot and the crinoline, then this reading is going to be for you. So firstly, let's shuffle your tarot, and I've already got your oracle cards ready and waiting for this reading, so we will get them out here for a second. So if you skip the intro, we're looking at how they felt the last time they saw you, and obviously everybody's connection is going to be different. There's going to be like different context to the meeting, why you guys are meeting, so I will try and get as much information as I can. So we have the Knight of Pentacles, we have the Ace of Swords, we have the Queen of Cups, we have the King of Cups as well, and we also have the Ace of Pentacles too. And then on the back we have the 10 of Pentacles, what the Ace of Pentacles wants to be when it grows up. So that is there. And then in terms of oracle cards, we have Cleanse, we have Healing through Rest, we have Movement, we have Visions, and we also have Rejection. So this is super interesting in terms of all this new energy coming at you guys with this Ace of Swords and this Ace of Pentacles. And obviously we have that movement card too. And I feel like there is a massive build up to this conversation in a lot of ways. And with the Knight of Pentacles, it feels like it's been a really steady process to get to this point, and also this healing through rest. Maybe there was something that needed to be cleansed within this relationship, maybe there was some stagnant energy, and a lot of their feelings and how they felt was, I think it was anticipation for this meeting of how you guys are going to be able to have this new line of communication. You're able to really display your ways of thinking about things. And also there seems to be like this new opportunity for growth and prosperity through this Ace of Pentacles, which, like I said, the 10 of Pentacles being that which the Ace of Pentacles wants to be when it grows up, for visions of the future. So maybe you guys were planning the future of this connection and where it was going to go in a practical sense. Maybe after some time away potentially, because this rejection card is super interesting here to me especially. So I don't know if there was, from this meeting, there was this feeling like, it kind of feels like an ultimatum chat, like, are we going to continue the way that we're going? Are we going to think about things in a different way? How are we going to move? Like, this was your kind of springboard into the next facet of this journey together is what I'm really hearing. And obviously with this cleanse, maybe there was a previous relationship or something and there needed something to be healed. Like I said, healing through rest. So a lot of it was the build up, the visions of how it could go, and maybe the different hopes of how this talk was going to go, maybe the fears of rejection, if there were to be any. But all that was like needed was this thing to kind of revitalize, but move it forward with that movement along. I think maybe it was starting to stagnate and you guys just needed to get in the room together in order to really open up and bare your souls and bare what was actually going on in your heart, because we've got the King of Cups and the Queen of Cups. So we may have water signs here present, maybe within both of your charts, Cancer, Pisces, and also Scorpio. And it just feels like it was an opportunity for both parties to sit down, hear each other out, nurture this relationship, and really say what their daydreams, what their hopes, what their dreams, their aspirations for this connection is and all was, because you had this you've had this, so this is how they felt. So maybe they felt like both parties came with their hearts on their sleeve and were quite equally matched in that way. It wasn't one person really driving it. It feels like a very healthy, like I said, nourishing chat where both people were able to express themselves quite freely and openly, and maybe say how they've healed, say how maybe this time apart is what I'm getting, is maybe there was time apart before this conversation, or whether both parties were like, we're going to go away and we're going to come back and we're going to say how it is we feel about whatever happened. And this was really the opportunity to do that in a lot of ways. But maybe how they were feeling at first was maybe they felt a bit rejected, or maybe they had that fear of rejection, like I said. It's maybe if there was a period of kind of quiet before this conversation, maybe they felt a little bit out in the cold, weren't sure how you were going to react, whether you felt healed or kind of cleansed within yourself, as in coming forward for it. But I think overall they felt a really healthy movement, and I think a lot of those fears, if they did have any, were pushed to the side in a lot of ways. And it feels like a real, like I said, a new way of thinking, communicating, talking, and it feels like a triumph in that way, that they felt really victorious, that you were able to be open with one another, and that this has planted a lot of seeds for the future of this connection and relationship, that it's kind of started this new journey forward, not allowing the past to dictate it in any way. And with the Knight of Pentacles, maybe for some people, maybe there's still a lot of trust to be built, maybe relationship, if it is a love connection in that way, maybe kind of there's a lot of groundwork to do to make it feel like you are at this Ten of Pentacles, this future that maybe you both see with one another. Maybe there's still a way to go, but it's all going through as a team now in a lot of ways, and maybe you needed the practical plan to get that moving forward. But it feels like all the feelings are on the table, as it were, and that's the heart of the connection, and that healing and that cleansing period has taken place. So now it's like looking forward to the future and where it's going, and living presently in that moment, because now there's this kind of new level, this new kind of how you would this conversation and meeting feels like a really good basis of how you want future things to go, because it feels very healthy and open and honest in so many ways, and yeah, just very healthy movement, maybe for something that was blocked. If it was like too that frustration of having like a square hole and a peg, and it's just not fitting, it's not going in. Maybe that's how it felt up until this point, and now there just feels like this release, this ability to kind of let the guard down and really, like I said, bear the soul open and nourish each other in that way, because I think there are deep feelings here, and maybe it was just like the practical elements of the relationship were the things that felt like they were stagnating or blocking it. Maybe whether that's geography, or maybe this was within the workplace or something, or maybe there's separation because of work. Whatever it is, it just feels like there was something practically in the way that it felt very much maybe out of hands and out of your guys' control. and like crossed wires maybe in this kind of rejection card. But it feels like those obstacles, that fork in the road where maybe you both were, it's now opened up for a new path, which you guys feel very much so that you can dictate, and you can kind of write the rules of where you guys are going and do it on your own terms, and not worrying about what anyone outside of this connection is saying. And maybe that feels like a lot of cleansing and healing, actually just listening to both of your own hearts and what it is actually that you want and how you feel. And it feels like that the relationship is going on this, we're going to see feelingly, we're going to see our way forwards with our feelings and being open in this way, as opposed to the thoughts, worrying and all of this stuff. There just seems like some new clarity here, clarity about how each other are feeling and what you guys are both wanting moving forwards. So I want to get you guys some channeled messages as well for things that maybe weren't said but were potentially felt as well. So just going to get some. I don't want to share you. So maybe that's sharing with different things, or maybe, like I said, maybe this was the groundwork for a new commitment. Maybe you guys can see where you guys want to go. So potentially that's there for you guys. When can I see you again? So there's this immediate like feeling of wanting to reconnect again, maybe because it felt really healthy and that you guys were both able to be so expressive and open. So it feels like the visions card of like all the different meetings, all the different plans that we could do together, and that movement just constantly like almost getting the date in the diary. I can be myself around you, letting that guard down, like I said, and just being open and honest and just authentically themselves. And maybe that rejection card is, maybe they even said how they maybe felt fear or rejection or whatever it is, and they were able to show that vulnerability, because there are feelings, like I said, it's care, and I just heard caring is sharing. So maybe they're like, they are sharing themselves to show that they care what you think, but also they want to be vulnerable, they want to open up in that way. And I love how ambitious you are. So maybe, like I said, maybe if work is potentially something that's pulling you both, or those commitments, or there's that geography or whatever it is, there is this element of, despite all the practical things that may get in the way of this connection, I love how you've got your dreams, you've got your aspirations and what you want to do. And there's that feeling of, I don't want to share you, but this is so important. It's important to you, and it makes up who you are, and it's yourself, and that's beautiful. So you should go for that. That's the general feeling. And, you know, our paths can intertwine. And with that 10 of Pentacles card, that is the future of leaving a legacy of family, and that's wealth and abundance. But that doesn't, everyone's idea of family is different. And obviously in this Friends tarot, which I love, it's that picture of friends on a mantelpiece. So it's just that entwining of history and creating that together, that real strong tree with all its roots and its different avenues, and just wrapping itself around each other. So it doesn't mean that you guys have to be on the same page in terms of where you're going, different aspirations and everything, but there is this want for shared connection, and I think probably it's reciprocated. But if obviously this is how they felt, so if you felt something completely different at this meeting, then that is absolutely fine, but this is how, obviously from their perspective, how they were feeling. So let's also get some channeled messages too. Oh, not channel messages, I just got those. Channeled songs, sorry. Okay, so we have Go Your Own Way, Fleetwood Mac. But I get that less in the Fleetwood Mac sense, as in Stevie and Lindsay. I get that more in the go your own way, as in your own path, like we were just saying, like being encouraging of like your plans, your future and stuff. And maybe it's that you guys had a limited, I'm hearing for some people, maybe there was like a limited time on this meeting. Maybe they had to like rush off because they had a commitment, or maybe you did. So it was like that kind of thing of, okay, yeah, you go, okay, bye then. And maybe it didn't like resolve in the way that you guys would naturally do it, but that's only for some people. If that doesn't resonate, don't take that at all. We've also got You Know You Like It, Aluna George. So I think, like I said, maybe there's that mutual connection, that mutual space. You and I, Ingrid Michaelson, this is one of my favourite songs. So yeah, that building a life, that building a legacy of all the dreams, the hopes, the aspirations for the future of connecting, and you and I almost against the world in that way, of like looking at the world, like everything running underneath us as like ants is one part of the song, and we're kind of just there living the life that we want to. And also Should I Stay or Should I Go, the clash. So that's super interesting with that rejection card as well, that feeling of which way was it going to go? Which way was the movement going to take us? So like I said, maybe for some people it did feel like a bit of an ultimatum of, are we going to be open? Are we going to put our feelings on the table? Are we going to share this experience and move forward together? Or is it going to be that we let it be what it is and move forward in that way as friends? So maybe it was a decision to continue the connection as a romantic connection or friendship, potentially for some people. But either way, I feel whatever the decision was, I feel like it was a mutual love decision of, we'll still be in each other's lives, entwined in some way, that will always carry us through and be a part of our history, our shared history. And just there was just this openness and honesty there in order to move forward. So, and I think either way, it's moved from one energy, which was maybe stagnating and blocking, and in order to breathe in new life, whichever facet this relationship is going to take and move forward towards. There's this mutual respect and love, I think, at the heart of it. So I think their feelings are that there's always this like relationship to be cherished and learnt from in this way, and this was a meeting in order to establish newness and like a fresh injection of energy here, whichever way it was. And yeah, I think that's so beautiful that they're like, it's always going to be a team in some way, even if you are going on going in different directions. So this pile has been super interesting in terms of, I think there's not just one way that you could read this pile. There's obviously the like ending up in friends, ending up in, you know, a romantic connection and this togetherness, but there is just this shared history. And I think the future of this connection, I don't feel like it's over. I feel like there's still stuff to be visited here within it, whichever way it's gone, because I think both parties are just can still see the other person in their life. I think it's a beautiful connection, whether that's friends or more. So my glorious friends of pile one, I'm going to leave this reading here for you guys today. I hope it resonated with you. And obviously, like I said, this is their feelings towards the meeting, so it may not necessarily match your own feelings, but I hope it did resonate nonetheless. I'm sending so much love to each and every one of you. Thank you so much for watching. If you'd like to see me again, please do hit that subscribe button. Until next time, I really hope to see you guys there. Bye. Hi lovely friends of pile 2. So if you picked the Tattoo Tarot and the Bumblebee Just for Heart, then this reading is going to be for you. So firstly, let's shuffle your tarot. I've got your oracle cards ready and shuffled for you guys, and we'll look at how they felt the last time they saw you. So obviously everybody is going to be coming to this meeting with their person in different circumstances, at a different point, but I will try and cover all of the different scenarios that we see. So Spirit, how did they feel the last time they saw pile 2? So we've got the 4 of coins, we've got the High Priestess, we have got the 6 of coins, oh, two stuck together. We've got the 9 of coins, and we've also got the Wheel of Fortune. And then on the back of the deck, we've also got the 4 of Swords. Interesting. Okay, and then we have got Illumination. We have got the Sword. We have got Power. We have got Be Free, Do What You Love, and we've also got Creativity too. So these are super interesting in terms of your guys' tarot and also oracle cards. So I think the feeling that I get is that this meeting may have been quite transactional in a way, and I think you were quite hard to read, and I think they felt quite disconcerted by your power in a way, that you were able to be free and completely like authentically you, but there was still this kind of mystery, I think, behind you in terms of your independence. And I feel like this meeting was coming from a place where maybe you initiated it with this sword, with this kind of, this is our opportunity to talk and communicate, and, you know, with that sword, I get that Ace of Swords moment, like this is an open line communication. But I think it all came from you, and I feel like they had this kind of eureka moment, this illumination through you being the one to initiate it, maybe, in a way. But I think overall they felt like they were almost in this kind of waiting period, like almost actively waiting, maybe throughout the whole meeting or maybe leading up to it, that they were trying to sort through their thoughts of how they felt about it and how they felt about you as well. And maybe they were just actively waiting for their moment to say something, to kind of be open and all of those things. And I really don't think they knew with that Wheel of Fortune which way it was going to go. And I still don't think they know generally how to put their finger on how they felt about it, because I think they just saw you completely in your power, being open and being free. And I think they wanted to be like that and be that illuminating and honest and open. But I think they felt like you held all the cards, and sorry the pun, but I think it's almost like a game of poker is what I'm getting. It's like that you were almost holding and dropping and releasing exactly what it was that you wanted to, when you wanted to. So I feel like they saw you as being open, and you as the one that was maybe initiating the conversation. Or maybe if they did, maybe you were the one that was open and saying the things. But I feel like it feels not curated, like you were dropping exactly what it is that you wanted to say when you wanted to say it. I felt like it does move organically, because we've got this kind of reciprocation, this give and take within the conversation. So I don't think it was all one-sided. It was that meeting halfway in this message. But I think with this 4 of coins, there was this kind of feeling that in terms of the business side, the transactional side of it, you were keeping exactly what you needed to keep in order to establish your independence of who you are and your own kind of like I said, independence, but all the things that make up you were holding on to, and so maybe you weren't giving everything away. But it feels like maybe because we've got all this coins energy, maybe it was a meeting within the workplace, or maybe it was at school or that kind of thing, or university or wherever, that kind of the setting took place. So maybe it wasn't a place where emotions could really run freely or all of those things. But I think with that High Priestess, they know that you've got this great like strength within yourself, and you have so many different things within your arsenal that they can see really make up you, and you've got a lot of things to be proud of and to be seen. And I think they are just overwhelmed with that feeling of your power and that quiet power as well. Not that you have to be a quiet person, but that, because I think there is that give and take and all of those things, even if there are a bit of holding the cards. But I think they're just taken aback by how kind of magnificent you are in terms of everything that you've created and everything you stand for, and how free you can be with that. And I think how openly you do what you love in a lot of ways. And I think they almost get a light bulb moment from you of like, this is how I could be if I was like that, if I trusted my inner resources, if I knew myself and all of these things. But yeah, I feel like they just couldn't get a read on you, and you can tell from me as well, my kind of the way that I'm speaking. I don't feel like I can be really concise. I feel a bit all over the place with it. Like there's this great admiration for you as a person, and for all that you stand for. And I feel like you did get I feel like I'm justifying it for them in a way. Like, we did have a really good conversation, as in like it was flowing. We were talking about this and that, and both of us were meeting each other halfway, and it felt really equal and honest and open. But there's this kind of underlying, I don't think I got all the thoughts and all the things there. Like, there is so much more to uncover, and I think you showed them exactly what you wanted to show them, but still being open and honest and authentic. It's like you've got really good boundaries. That's what I mean by it. You've got really good healthy boundaries of, until maybe there's that feeling of you can't be fully vulnerable and fully open until you feel that comfort and you feel like you are respected for your power and all of those things. And but not necessarily that they know that, but I think there's just that feeling of there is so much more that they want to learn and are aching to know. And I think maybe very creatively maybe you've got this sense, this deep intuition is what I get from that creative, like that really switched on intuition, that instinctive mind. But yeah, maybe they don't even know if they're going to see you again, and in a way maybe they feel like it's left up to fate in a way. I love your mysterious energy. I think it's so cool. As you can tell from my like bumbling right now, I think I'm just taken aback in awe as well about how illuminating and how I think how gravitational your energy is. You are almost that person that people want to converse with. That power, there's almost that unsaid, but also like you can't put into words that energy of why people are so drawn there. I think because there is this just standing within your power and like showing the world exactly what it is that you want to show them, that freeness, that openness, which is quite captivating because you're being so open and honest, but at the same time it's like almost a trick. Like, can people do that? Can people be like this? So yeah, I feel like maybe the conversation as well here, maybe it felt very, like I said, transactional on a level. Maybe you were talking about work or school or whatever it is on the surface, and that was all surface level, and maybe all of these things were bubbling underneath. Like maybe there was a bit of showing who like a little bit of heart and a little bit of thoughts and things, but maybe it never really got there. Maybe it was all a bit like, when I mean surface level, like small talk chatter in a way, like, oh, how's the wife and kids, or how's, you know, Ellie and the horse, and like, do you know, I'm talking absolute rubbish, but do you know what I mean? Just that kind of that kind of showing exactly how you want it to be, like all the stuff of the material world. Like there's nothing really, like I think there's this deep sense of maybe you have this spiritual side and everything, maybe this understanding of the universe, and this deep level of connection towards your unconscious and your unconscious mind. Like you can tap into that and know your inner resources, but I don't think you necessarily showed all of that, or maybe you just hinted a couple of times. So maybe it didn't really get under the bonnet of everything, the conversation. So I want to get, as well, for further clarification on this, some channeled messages as well. Okay, I'm going to take you. I was just going to split it a couple of times before doing that, but you wanted to jump out. So I don't say it enough, but I'm really lucky to be with you. So this could, if you're not in a relationship with this person, maybe this is just within the kind of the sphere of you. But maybe if you guys are together, maybe this meeting, I obviously this meeting, I'm saying how they felt, but maybe it was like over like FaceTime or Zoom or something for some people potentially, and so maybe that's why it felt a little bit surface level, and maybe it's almost that I don't know when I'm going to next see you potentially. Maybe there's that like, when are we going to have this communication? That could be one way it's read, but if that doesn't resonate, don't worry about it. But maybe it's just like to have you in their life. They're really lucky, and maybe even if you guys were cut short for time, so you didn't get to that deeper conversation, like there is this feeling of, yeah, I'm lucky that you're that gravitational person in my life in a lot of ways. I've been wishing for you, and so maybe that's like wishing for a conversation with you, or like maybe even like manifesting on that level, or that deep unconscious. I need to go my own way. That's an interesting one. And I don't want to give up my independence. So obviously we were saying how independent you were in a lot of ways, and maybe it was quite equally matched in that, with that Six of Coins. Maybe it was quite reciprocated energy of like, we're both very independent people, and that kind of thing. And with the I need to go my own way, this actually, the song Go My Own Way came up, Fleetwood Mac song, came up as one of the songs. And when that came up, I said, oh, maybe it's like the meeting was quickly over or something. So maybe it's not that you guys are going to take different directions. Maybe it's just like the feeling of, oh, I'm rushed, I need to go and do my thing. And maybe that's why they didn't get to say like, oh, it's so nice seeing you, or that kind of thing. So if that doesn't resonate in the I need to go my own way, then don't worry about it. But yeah, there is this kind of like, I don't want to give up my power and my independence as well. So maybe it's two strikingly like similar people in a way of both being quite powerful and independent, and maybe that's where you guys meet halfway and it's almost like, which way is it going to go, because we're almost so similar potentially, and so maybe you as well feel like you couldn't get a read and a barometer on the situation, because like I said, maybe it was a little bit surface level, so maybe the emotions didn't necessarily really come into it. So maybe you're feeling just as a little bit confused as they were, but you've got this strong sense of power and they do as well. So it's so similar. Maybe it's almost like a reflection thing within both of you, but there just seems to be this gravitational like boomerang moment there. Something which maybe you guys know you need that, like to follow your own thing and do your own thing and all of that stuff for now, but maybe you always feel like that path's going to get entwined again. It's such an interesting energy. I'd be really interested to hear if it is resonating, how as well, how within this relationship. So get those songs and these ones. So we have Tearing Up My Heart, NSYNC. So NSYNC, in sync as well. So maybe you guys are quite in sync in that way. But yeah, tearing up my heart when I'm with you. There is a light that never goes out. So yeah, obviously we've got illumination, we've got that creativity, almost that light bulb moment. But maybe it's like the light bulb never goes out. Maybe there's always going to be a light on this relationship, even if it means like, maybe when I was saying like, oh, maybe it's school or study or work or something that you guys met here in, or maybe you guys are both in different relationships potentially. This may not be for everyone. This is just a tangent that I could potentially read here. But maybe there's always that, maybe you did date in the past, or maybe there were feelings in the past for you or them. And maybe it's almost like there's always a candle for the relationship that wasn't, or if it was there, like the one that like you both decided to walk away from. But there's always that kind of thing that you're always going to be in each other's lives, in a way. And love the way you lie, Eminem and Rihanna. So maybe that's the kind of like of holding your cards, like I was saying, like not that you're lying, but that you're not showing everything potentially, but maybe that's the way for them as well. And also, don't you forget about me. Oh, such interesting songs, so interesting. There's so much here, so much juicy bits here, of like, it's like that active waiting thing, like, do they even remember me? Do they even know who I am? And but yeah, maybe this, I'm really lucky to be with you. Maybe that's not even now, or if it is now, then maybe it's like that you guys can't see each other all the time, and you like, there's that feeling of, oh, don't forget about me, in a way, and like it's tearing my heart that we can't be there together. But like, even if we're not there physically in each other's lives, like there's the light that never goes out. Maybe that's it for some people. But if it is this kind of feeling of past relationship that has this kind of surface level now, there's that feeling of, are we still entwined? Are our lives still entwined? But we're so similar in terms of how we're reacting to one another. And there is this want to, like, with that be free, do what you love. Obviously we're looking at their feelings, and maybe they want to be free and be more authentic with themselves and say exactly how they are feeling. But maybe there's this like protocol, or this kind of rules of how they can and can't say it and be. I love it. I absolutely, as in, I just love how it's complicated and messy, but there's just so much meat here within this relationship, so much complexity. But either way, I think both individuals are so powerful and almost so taken aback by the other person, because I think they recognize so much of themselves in the other one. But I think it does feel very up in the air of like which way it may go. But I think there's great admiration there, and even if there is hurt and pain from things that maybe didn't get going, or there's not that togetherness now, there's that hope. And that's the light at the end of the tunnel, through that illumination and that creativity and doing what you love and all of those things. There's hope that there's a new facet of this relationship, and that it won't just fizzle out and it won't just die in a way. Which is why I think it's so interesting. And because there's all this, I've been wishing for you, and but then there's that tearing of, I don't want to give up my independence, I don't want to give up who I am outside of this connection, and maybe can't let go of my old ways, and like I need to go my own way, need to discover more about myself, discover more of my power. So there's that real push and pull, and it's such interesting energy. But my heart does go out to you, because I do feel like it's a real, like a mind-wrecking, annoying situation to be in. And I can feel that. I can feel how disruptive it must be in a lot of ways. But then at the same time, I think when you guys are both together, there is that illumination and this creativity. So it's almost like when you guys are actually together in the same room, even if you're talking about those kind of surface level things, it feels so much easier and there's so much more ease. And there's that kind of relief to just be talking about like surface level stuff, because the things that you're not addressing, it's like you both don't. So it's so much easier to ignore all the the subcontext and everything. But yeah, my heart really does go out to you guys in a lot of ways. I'd be so interested to hear what resonates within this pile. I think it's such an interesting connection in so many ways. But Spirit is saying you value your independence above all and your power, because you have so much of it. And this person can feel it and feel your illumination and your gravitational pull, and others do too. So just make sure that you are always like free to be exactly who you are, even when confronted with a situation with this person or any person in your life, because you have such a strong sense of self and authenticity. So don't dim to fit in, essentially, is what I'm hearing for you especially. But my glorious friends of pile 2, I'm going to leave that reading there for you guys today. I'm sending so much love. If you'd like to see me again, please do hit that subscribe button. Until next time, I really hope to see you guys there. Bye. Hi lovely friends of pile 3. So if you picked the Orbita Tarot and the Crystal Quartz, then this reading is going to be for you. So firstly, what we'll do is we'll delve into your tarot and also your oracle cards for this reading to look at how they felt about you, and then we'll go into the channeled messages and songs. So let's get some tarot on this table. Obviously, everybody is going to be coming to this meeting within this connection in different spaces, and obviously everything that is coming up is how they felt about you, towards this connection. So obviously it may not be resonating exactly how you felt. So we have got the Fool, we have also got the 5 of Swords, 2, we have got the Knight of Swords, we have got the Ace of Pentacles, and we've also got the 2 of Wands. And on the back, we have the 9 of Wands, 2. Great. And so in terms of oracle cards, we've got Ideation, we have got the Messenger, we have got Love, we have also got Your Light, and we have got Faith. So I love these cards for one. Firstly, what I'm seeing is that it feels like this was a new base within this relationship to really form ideas and a foundation for new things to come within this connection. It's really quite similar to pile 1. So if you were drawn to pile 1, maybe it's quite similar energy, but it's in a different way. And I think it's coming from a kind of space of the formulating of ideas in terms of thoughts and how you guys were both thinking about this connection and what may have happened in the past. So I feel like maybe there's this, maybe they felt that they had to come towards this meeting with a bit of their guard up. For some, because maybe something happened in the past, this past facet of this relationship in some way. Because of the 5 of Swords, it feels like there was this kind of like unfinished business, and like maybe there's battles that have been fought, that have been lost, but this was like, we've not lost the war yet within this connection. And maybe whether that's external things coming to that get in between or whatever it is, and this was the opportunity to really direct the thinking and how both of you were thinking about this relationship with this Knight of Swords, and really be brave and show that with this truth and with this message that you can bring love into that situation. But there is also a great deal of faith and kind of taking a leap of faith all melded in towards this, which is this kind of heart, this love behind it, this kind of ever unfolding relationship where I think there's this continuation to learn about one another and to show new sides of yourself with that your light. I get this feeling of maybe if the guard was up for both parties kind of coming in, or maybe kind of layers have been shed in that way, and that it's almost like a key, an opening towards this new thing, like this new triumph. And with this Ace of Pentacles, this is a new opportunity for security and stability within this relationship. And maybe this was something new that was planted, this new way of communicating, or this new faith and trust. Maybe it was love, maybe it was opening up in that way that felt really authentic and fresh, which has now laid the foundation of how you guys will be in the future. So maybe it feels a bit wild in terms of where you guys are going. Maybe it feels like there was that bearing of all and hoping that the other person would catch, and having that faith that the other person would. And maybe if it was speaking truth, something but that you guys are both passionate about, i.e. each other in a way, maybe there was that hope when the guard went down that you guys would be there to catch each other, that you'd both be feeling the same. So I think how they felt was that they were able to be authentic and true and give and deliver their message, and maybe say how they were feeling and the amount of love that is within this connection. And that maybe, you know, if something has happened in the past, that they want to move that aside and move forwards. And maybe in the past as well, with the Knight of Swords, sometimes there's this kind of trampling and bulldozing energy. So potentially how they acted in the past, or maybe if you felt it was you, maybe it's that side, but I'm getting more that it was from them. And it was them kind of like shedding more of themselves and that guard and maybe the facade that they were putting on. The Knight of Swords can sometimes have this kind of player energy when we talk about love readings, in the fact that they're someone that kind of trample over other people's thoughts, potentially have the loudest kind of voice in the room, and almost dictate the conversation and the way that it goes from their kind of sheer force and that presence. So maybe this was a way for them to break away from that facade with that Two of Wands and trust their intuition and kind of visualize a new future for themselves, that kind of formulation of ideas of how they want to be and how they want to change. And it's kind of like there were two ways that this could go, which was very similar to pile one, like I said, but in a different way, I think, of you guys could continue down the way that you were going, or like this kind of not talking, not kind of healing the connection maybe, or both having your guards up about what it was that you actually wanted. Or you could both say that we're part of a bigger picture here, and this is what we want to move towards, and we can start by planting that now, that new opportunity, that seed of thinking and this new relationship, as it were, and visualize something else. And it doesn't necessarily have to be on a physical level, as it were, like a next level of commitment or whatever it is, but it's just that intuitively we both know that that's what we're working towards, or that's what we want. Like our creative visualizations for where we want this to go is similar, and that doesn't mean that it has to get caught up in the physical manifestations, like the label of it or anything like that. That is not what we're based on or what we're judged on within this relationship. It's more that there's that faith and that trust here, and ultimately like that mutual love and respect for one another. So it feels like from their perspective, they felt that they were able to be authentic and free, and that they were able to open themselves up and show like the love of what, like their love and their passions in a lot of ways. And and maybe to speak their truth a lot more than maybe they had previously. And I'm hearing a tone as well, and obviously we've spoken about that kind of trying to heal the past and realize that, you know, that battles may have been lost, but it's not the war that has been. But with that Fool, there is that like new beginning, that new phase of the journey, which can come at any point within a relationship and a connection, that renewal, that kind of next stage of kind of laying your cards on the table, as it were, and taking that leap, like knowing that we have to bear ourselves, we have to be true to ourselves, we have to be open in order to be free. And actually they were already free within themselves, but they hadn't done that and been authentic with you potentially. So there is that feeling of trying to be open and moving forward and taking that leap of faith and hoping that they get caught in a lot of ways, even if their fears and anxieties were kind of at their heels speaking at them. They knew that they had to get that out, as it were. So maybe they did dominate the conversation in some ways with that Knight of Swords, but maybe it was in a different way, in order for them to kind of let their guard down. And I think they were ready for any eventuality of what maybe you would say or feel or do. But I think ultimately they feel that they were able to, whichever way that you took it, or that you, because I feel like it was kind of in your hands, as it were, with how you wanted to respond. I think they felt that they had delivered the message that they wanted to, and had almost have faith that they were able to do that. And this was like the next level of how you guys were going to move forward, and if you were going to move forward in a lot of ways. So I want to get some channeled messages for you guys from this person as well. So we have You're My Type. So obviously we had that kind of playerish energy, but also like I think maybe there was this connection before, whether, like I said, labels and whatever, but maybe you guys had been seeing each other or dating each other or whatever, or maybe there was a kind of friends with benefits situation going on. So I think there is that there is this kind of attraction here towards one another, this want to be around one another. You are enough. So maybe their past actions didn't make you feel like that, and maybe it was quite, the energy was quite draining of you wondering if it was you, whether you were doing anything wrong potentially, or I just get this sense that they left you in a little bit of a head-wrecking state, that you just couldn't put a pin on them, and they weren't being open and honest maybe pre this. But maybe some things that they didn't say were, you know, you are enough, exactly. Or maybe they were even aware, and how they felt the last time was how they wanted to be all of these things. If you were like, they were not open and honest, they didn't say that. Maybe for some people they did have their guard up, but maybe under the undertones of it where they were feeling these things, but their actions just kept not like displaying them. So maybe there was that frustration there, but for the majority I see that they probably were open and honest. Or maybe there was a hint of talk about this, but they never went fully in about you necessarily. Maybe it was more about them and how they'd acted. Sometimes I think I dreamed everything. So literally what I was just saying, this is how they felt the conversation went, obviously. So maybe they felt that they had done all of these things, and there's this kind of dreaming of like, was I open and honest? Did I say all of these things? So there is that energy. So if you are frustrated with this person in that way of, I don't know how they're feeling, they're not being open and communicative. Obviously I'm reading these cards from their feelings and their perspective. So maybe there is this element of they felt that they were doing all these things, that they were showing you that they cared, and saying that they wanted this like fresh start, or to be different, and all of this, and you know that you are worthy of their energy, their time, and all of these things. But maybe it, like that dream state that they think, oh, maybe I did dream it. Maybe they didn't actually say these things, which is potentially a frustrating point for you. And I'm so thankful that we met. So obviously it is impactful, the energy that you have on them, even to be honest within themselves, even if they haven't said that to you. Maybe some people, they have done that, like I just said, but there is this feeling of like respect, even, and maybe their actions and haven't shown that up until this point, or it can be mixed signals and it can be hard to read, and maybe they still feel like they have their guard up in a lot of ways. But there is this feeling of faith, almost that in the cycles of how you guys met, and there was a reason for this connection, and maybe that's why it feels so dreamlike. That maybe there are a lot of things stirring up inside of them of how they've changed, and they maybe not able to put a finger on it within themselves either, but they know that there's this kind of attraction with that you're my type and you are enough. Like there's this attraction to someone who is whole, that almost challenges them to find their own wholeness and challenges them to be a better version of themselves. And sometimes their actions can take, our actions when we are confronted with that, it can take a while to actually start, like, seeing is believing. Maybe it takes us a while to believe them and start acting in that way. But there is that connection, there is that kind of feeling that they are connecting to something a little bit deeper within themselves, due to your energy. So I want to get some channeled songs as well. So we have got You Can't Always Get What You Want, the Rolling Stones. So maybe they didn't get exactly what they wanted from this conversation, this talk, but they got what they needed, in a way of, like, they got almost, I just heard like they're getting what they deserved. So Spirit is saying that maybe you didn't go for it, maybe you didn't believe it. For some people, I'm saying, this may not be for everyone, so only take it if it resonates, but maybe they got what they needed from it, or maybe you even got what you needed from it. Maybe you got the closure that you needed on that chapter, or maybe you got, if they were open and you were like, no, they were quite honest and they did say all of these things, maybe you got what you needed in terms of, like, maybe it wasn't exactly what you wanted to hear, but you got exactly what you needed from the meeting. So that's that one. We've got Tearing Up My Heart, In Sync. This was in pile 1. Was it in pile 1? Interesting. Yes, I think it was. And obviously I said, interestingly, it felt very similar and mirrored. And with this In Sync, maybe you guys felt quite in sync in terms of the conversation, but tearing up my heart when I'm with you. So maybe if that's like, you can't always get what you want, maybe it felt like the heart that they wanted to show, maybe they very quickly put that guard back up if you didn't reciprocate feelings or that kind of thing, or the same energy of where they wanted to go with it. But maybe there's just that, the tearing up my heart could be like them not addressing the things going on internally, and that's therefore showing in their external world. So that could be a mixture of different things. We Don't Talk Anymore, Charlie Puth and Selena Gomez. So maybe you guys don't talk anymore. Maybe this has kind of been the conclusion, that kind of bow on the relationship, or maybe you don't talk in the way that you used to anymore. Maybe there's been a shift in this communication, but obviously with that Knight of Swords, that maybe it's almost they spoke, they talked, and it's like, we don't talk anymore, we don't actually have a conversation. Maybe it's like two ships in the night in terms of when you're actually in a room together. Maybe it's like different agendas, maybe it's just like crossed wires and it doesn't actually feel like you're having a conversation, it just feels like you're saying stuff. Potentially that's for some people. I feel like there could be that frustration there. Dreaming of You, the Coral. So again, we've got that dreaming state, so that kind of internal unconscious feeling of the dreams within their heart and that kind of thing, but maybe their actions are manifesting something differently. And also Baby I'm Yours, Breakbot and Infane. So like Baby I'm Yours to keep. So maybe there is that feeling still of that love and that faith that maybe things are going to untangle and unwork themselves, even if it does still feel messy for some people. So there's a few different tangents that this reading has gone on, and I hope it resonated with your situation. And obviously, like I said, this is from their feelings towards your last meeting, so it may not reflect your own. But like I said, I hope it resonated nonetheless. And thank you so much for watching this reading today. If you'd like to see me again, please do hit that subscribe button. Until next time, I really hope to see you guys there. I'm sending so much love. Bye. Hi lovely friends of Pile 4, so if you picked the new Mythic Tarot and the Opalite Dragon, then this reading is going to be for you. So firstly, let's shuffle your tarot and then we'll get your oracle cards out, and then after we'll get channeled messages and channeled songs as well to look at how they felt the last time they saw you. And obviously this is their feelings and how they felt towards you during your last meeting and the last time that they saw you. So obviously this may not be your feelings as well, or you may feel like their feelings are unjustified, but please, obviously, I'm just picking up on the energy of the situation. So we've got the Four of Wands, we've got the Nine of Wands, we've got the Six of Wands, we've also got the Knight of Cups, and we've got the Queen of Wands in reverse. Let me just double check. I think that is supposed to be up, and then we've got the Queen of Wands instead, and then on the back of the deck we've got the King of Wands as well, so that marries the Queen of Wands quite nicely there. And then in terms of oracle cards, we have Balance, we have Twin, we have Abundance, we have something that is never truly yours, and we have Movement too. When the oracle cards first came out, I just wanted to mention, obviously I saw these two green in terms of balance and movement, and this is the Prism Oracle deck that I'm using, and there is various rainbow colours. It's a beautiful deck, as you can see, and there's not a whole lot of green, so I thought, I mean, there's two sort of greeny ones there together, but I thought that was so interesting, and I just heard green light, and maybe that was a green light go for this relationship, in terms of like, maybe this felt like a really like green conversation in terms of like kind of movement forward. And obviously we have the movement card, but that kind of catalyst for getting things going and like a jumping off point for things to start flowing. And this may be something that is quite hard to put a name on, into that something that is never truly yours. Maybe it feels like this relationship could be something that kind of almost feels like it slips the net sometimes, or that you can never really get a hold on how you felt, and maybe that's how they feel as well. Like maybe you are something that is never truly theirs, maybe something that keeps evolving and changing, that they never feel like they fully get everything that they want in terms of getting under the car bonnet of everything. But there's this twin energy here, and obviously yin and yang, that kind of that opposites attract, but opposites standing boldly apart to stand closer together, that feeling that you both can be very different, but there's still abundance, and it's that meeting halfway. And it may be something that is never truly, you know, you, and some, like in terms of a twin, like it's not a carbon copy, it's actually the differences that make up the whole, as it were, that challenge, and it's like a mirror of the other like a mirror up to you of all the things that you are not alike and they are not alike, that challenge to be better people in some ways. So there's that beautiful striking of balance, the blend of being different but how each other's wholeness, and that like being whole but different together actually encourages the growth of those things which you may not naturally triumph at, and they too may not, that brings that overflowing abundance and that learning to light. So how they felt as well, I think there's this great kind of union of kind of like-minded individuals, or people that have their hearts ablaze, that have that kind of real striking like fire energy. And there is that torch in terms of the Queen of Wands and the King of Wands. So people who follow their intuition, their instincts, who are very bold and positive, but instigators of change. And maybe that feels like, because like I said, kind of counterparts in terms of Queen and King, but and that doesn't matter about the gender or anything like that, but it feels like two matched individuals in terms of own authenticity, going with their light and what's burning inside of them. But those can be drastically different things that manifest. So we've got, in terms of signs, Leo, Sagittarius and Aries for fire. So maybe that's placements within both of your charts. But we've also got this Knight of Cups, water. So maybe one person is, or maybe both people again, have that water energy, that Scorpio, Cancer or Pisces. So maybe that's where the blend is, that fire meets the water, that beautiful passion and fiery energy, that intuition, that just do it, that changing constantly, and that kind of baptism by fire is what I'm hearing. People who thrive off living off their instincts and listening to that gut feeling, and that where their intuition, their soul is taking them, finding their soul's mission in that way. I think both people have that, but there's also that kind of deep flowing water, as it were, of like following heart's passion and really touching base with the emotions of the situation. So there's that kind of like act first in terms of the wands, but that feeling, that is that encouragement, that deep encouragement, that intuition flow, which is very similar energy, but one feels very soothing and one is that kind of action. So maybe it's that kind of yin and yang, that action in that yang, and then that yin of that unconscious, that subconscious flow. But both people, I think, with this and the feeling that they had towards, is that you both kind of almost balance each other out. And maybe there was, with that Nine of Swords, maybe there's fears and anxieties or things that is getting on top of one person, or maybe both people, that you were both able to, within energy, soothe and realize that you've both weathered those emotional storms together and bring love to that situation, that then feels like a victory. And I think there's a great celebration of each other and self within this connection. But with that Nine of Swords, it feels like there's maybe noise or things that maybe one person is actually going through something which maybe they didn't show everything of, but or maybe they did, and there was that calmness and that ability to soothe that from the other person. And actually maybe both people were mirroring each other and were going through very similar situations, but there's that abundance from knowing yourself and themselves that then allows this overflow of love and positive energy to come about. So I think their feelings were, even if the thing, like maybe they didn't even get to see the full like weight of the swords or the worries that were kind of hanging over you, and maybe that's where they felt like things were slipping and they didn't quite get everything. They could feel it, and maybe there was that movement towards that connection in that way of kind of taking down the veil, as it were. But with that Four of Wands, there's this, like I said, great celebration, and the celebration of victory and triumph, and that kind of festivity after like hard work and labor. So maybe one person had a great achievement that they were celebrating in a lot of ways, and maybe that was their moment of celebration, everyone kind of gathering around them, and maybe both people, and maybe it feels like a win for both. It just feels like a gradual movement with that movement, like everything is kind of going over in a great pace, and maybe there's something that is never truly yours, is this feeling like we're constantly evolving and changing. So the people that we were at our last meeting, we've changed, we're still evolving, we're still growing. So it's like you can never get a hold on either one of you, because you're kind of growing together at rapid paces, but also like doing vastly different things. So that's maybe where that twin element goes in, is that you're both learning and growing so much within yourselves and kind of leveling up to the people that you want to be, your own emotional GPS. Maybe you both have emotional wants and like your dreams and desires, which are different. And maybe there's a few worries about that, about how different you are or how you guys want different things. But I think that really does dissipate when you are in each other's company and there's that kind of abundance and that free-flowing energy, and you realize that yes, you can be boldly different apart to stand together and be strong, because there's that beautiful balance in all things, and it's kind of meeting each other in the middle, halfway. So I feel like there is vast differences, but they're beautiful differences that you can both acknowledge and love about the other person. And with that abundance card as well, it just feels like it's aligned, like things are just coming together and moving at the pace that they're supposed to. And it feels like everything, there's no forced pretense, it's just organic, and being able to, because we've got this 6 of Wands and 4 of Wands, that kind of solar blaze. And I think their feelings is that everything's happening as it's meant to be, and maybe it's time away, or when you guys aren't together, that 9 of Swords energy starts to creep up, where those like voices in the head, but maybe it's not even voices that are within their own head, maybe that's the thoughts of other people, or the should directives of what should be happening, but actually it's at your guys' own pace, and they actually feel very at ease when they see you, and that kind of, like I said, melts into the background and dissipates. So I want to get some channeled messages as well to add some further context to this reading. So we've got your love heals me. So again, there's that feeling of that 9 of Swords, that melting away, that when love is present, fear and anxiety melts away, and there's that loving connection here in terms of the healing and soothing energy of recognizing someone that is similar in terms of burning passions and that intuitive, maybe even spiritual connection. And I didn't say, but maybe if twin flames resonates with you as well, potentially within this connection. Obviously we've got twin, and then the king and queen of wands, so flame, fire. So potentially that is something that your soul recognizes, but if it doesn't, you can leave that. But there's that feeling of individual growth and that time away, potentially, like to find authentic fire and your authentic self, and maybe that journey is something, like I said, you resonate with. But either way, I think there's that that ability of solace and healing when you're around people who are similar to you, and you find that sanctuary of like-minded people in that 4 of Wands that you can celebrate life with, celebrate yours and their achievement, and it's a shared victory. It could be for either person, either side, and when that's authentic and true, it doesn't matter who it's for. It's a celebration for all, and that's how it feels within this connection. So maybe if you guys were celebrating something, I'm so thankful that we met. So obviously feeling that there's a reason behind this connection, that there's a reason that maybe if there was a blockage within themselves and that has helped heal, that abundance and that flow of like life, that injection has been brought about. And maybe, I mean, with twin, there's also with the Lovers card, that's ruled by Gemini, and the Platonic myth behind that of, you know, Zeus, and obviously you picked the Mythic Tarot, so I feel like I can say this, but I don't personally prescribe to this, but I love the sentiment behind it of Zeus was jealous of man who were two-headed, four-armed, four-legged beings who roamed the earth, that he struck them apart, and therefore we're now roaming the earth for our other part, our other counterpart, our other twin. And I don't believe someone else makes you whole. I feel like it challenges you to find wholeness within yourself. But there is that feeling of kind of like a person that you're thankful to meet because they challenge so much within you and hold up a mirror to you in so many ways, which I think is so beautiful. So obviously you picked the Mythic Tarot, so I'm going to tell you a Greek myth. That's the contract that you sign. You're in my dreams every night. So there's, with that Nine of Swords as well, it can sometimes be that kind of living nightmare, and maybe there's solace in the dream aspect of like sleeping. Maybe in life, if you guys are apart, maybe that's when the fears and worries start to kind of creep up, but maybe in dreaming there's that release, and like I said, that kind of spiritual connection that intuitively is there, or maybe it's just, you know, their feelings are that you're in their dreams, in terms of like that emotional GPS as well. I can't ask you to stay, but I want you to. So maybe if there are those things that, you know, day to day you can't be with everyone all seconds and minutes of the day, but maybe that there's that feeling of like they can't ask you to be there all the time, but there's that one, like if you could, if, you know, you never had to work again, if you never had to do anything, like it would just be bliss to spend that time together. But there's obviously practical things that take people away, or with that twin flame journey, maybe there are things that really do divide, but when there's that togetherness, there feels like that perfect balance and that blend. But there is this definite, even if you guys are apart, there is this togetherness, there is this connection that kind of transcends that on that kind of spiritual level. But it's just like, with that flame throughout the cards, that burning one's intuition, there's that just do it momentum and that creativity, something that stirs up that kind of fire in the soul energy that I'm getting from this pile. So I want to get some channeled songs as well. So let's get some of those on the table. So we have If I Fell, the Beatles. So if I fell in love with you, would you promise you'd be true? It's such a beautiful song, and it's this kind of, if I did this, so maybe there's that, we haven't fully let guards down completely, or maybe those are the worries, those kind of lists of things, the swords, like if I said this, if I did this, what would you think? And maybe there's all those ifs and buts, but like I said, maybe that melts away when that energy is actually together. But that's such a great Beatles song. We've got Sorry, Justin Bieber. So maybe in some respects, maybe there's things to be sorry about. Maybe it's the sorry about overthinking, or sorry about not showing completely, or of if there are doubts that creep in sometimes, but there's that feeling of healing here, so, and that gratefulness and gratitude for meeting. So sorry, or maybe a sorry was said when you last saw each other for whatever reason, but I feel like that was quickly forgotten maybe. But that Nine of Swords, maybe that stems from there, that kind of sorry energy of overthinking maybe, or kind of thinking about the external things. The Foundations, Kate Nash. Obviously this song may resonate for some people in this relationship, and maybe with that sorry, maybe there were some things that needed to be addressed, and but there's that kind of love to hate, like that kind of domestic kind of like like the little things, the surface level things, I mean, if you're not familiar with the song, give it a listen, but it could be like, I feel like there are these foundations, but maybe it's like the surface level things, like the triumphs and the victories that you both have together kind of overpower that, all the kind of surface level stuff. And don't let go, love, and vogue as well. So obviously we had the kind of I want you to stay, and all of those kind of things, and aligning with that energy. So I do feel like this is a pile of two whole people who are different, which maybe causes friction and that need to say sorry, but there's that kind of that don't want to let go of the connection, even if there is that underneath. And I think it does change a lot within them, this relationship, and they feel very aligned to that, and I think they hope you feel the same way in that way too. So yeah, my glorious friends of pile 4, I'm going to leave that reading there for you guys today. I really hope it resonated with you. I'd love to hear in the comments if it did. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch. If you'd like to see me again, please do hit that subscribe button. Until next time, I really hope to see you guys there. Bye. Hi my lovely friends of pile 5. So if you picked the Modern Witch Tarot and the Quantum Quattro Tooth, then this reading is going to be for you. So firstly, let's shuffle your tarot cards. I've already got your oracle cards ready and waiting for you guys for this reading. And obviously this is how they felt about your last meeting. So you may have felt different. Maybe you don't feel like their feelings are justified, or maybe you feel like you've been having drastically different meetings or conversations. So just bear that in mind when I'm reading, that this may be just it's from their perspective of things, and that does not necessarily mirror yours in all situations. So Spirit, how were they feeling towards pile 5? How did they feel about pile 5 in their last meeting? So we've got the 7 of Cups. We have got the Page of Wands. How they felt towards pile 5 in their last meeting. We have got the Judgment card. We have also got the Devil, 2. And then we've got the Moon. And on the back, we have got the Wheel of Fortune, 2. And then in terms of oracle cards for this pile, we have got Disruption, we have got In Between Worlds, we've got Move On, we have got Under a Spell, and we've also got Sadness 2. So this is a really interesting reading for you guys here, because I feel like there's this feeling of wanting to be open and free, but then this real level of sadness and disruption, and this kind of stop energy where they're not able to be open and honest and truly themselves. And it really feels like they're dancing under the illusion, under a spell, and doing and saying things that don't actually make them happy, and are actually not aligned with their feelings in a lot of way. And it feels like maybe they've got a lot of options on the cards emotionally with the 7 of Cups, or maybe they feel like you do in a way that makes them feel like they have no impact for change within this connection. And I feel like there's this real like up in the air feeling that they have with this Wheel of Fortune, where they don't know whether they're going to like be open and honest, or whether they're going to feel like they are disrupted in their groove or whatever it is. But there is this feeling that they have this just unformed intuition in terms of what they want. So maybe they don't even know what it is they want, or maybe they do and they're just covering it up with things, because there's this Moon and there's this unconscious kind of not being able to tell between a friend and a foe, so between the light and the dark. And maybe they have this strong fear and anxiety, and they are caught up in the illusion of the Devil, and that is the power of the Devil, in illusion of being trapped by things that don't make them happy, like dancing to the tune of someone else's song, as it were. And it feels like they almost have like an out-of-body experience, like with this feeling towards the meeting, but also maybe towards this connection too, that they somehow are not themselves, that they are doing and saying things that actively make them like unhappy, and they feel like they're under the spell of that. And not necessarily that you propel them into that. I think that's something deep on an unconscious level, fears and anxieties that creep up on them, and that kind of wearing a mask feels very evident. And maybe it's because they don't know how to allow their internal intuition, that fire inside them. Maybe that's still unformed. Maybe they're trying to be faithful to that. But it's like they get caught up in the fluff. They get caught up in everything of these big decisions or these big things that are happening emotionally in their life that pull them in loads of different directions, most of which could just be an illusion again. It feels like they are just living in a cloud. And obviously we've got this cloud imagery here, but they can't find any goodness because it feels like they've lost their heart, because they've lost themselves, because they're so caught up in running around and doing other things. And it feels like there's this like break the box, like something which they feel like they want to kind of propel them out of this and to find this movement forward. But it just feels like they're stuck in this kind of disillusioned energy, and they can almost recognize it in themselves, and they're almost screaming at themselves to say stop and try and disrupt this cycle. But with this in-between worlds, it's almost like they're living between the illusion and with what they want. There's that kind of and I'm also hearing maybe another lifetime, like if I was doing something else, if I was someone else, if I was being true and authentic and all these things. And there's this general energy that they just want to move on, that maybe they're fed up of not being themselves. And maybe there could be several reasons for why this could be the case. Maybe they don't feel like they can be authentic and themselves and bear everything to you, because that, like, I could list so many things. Maybe you're in a relationship, maybe they're in a relationship outside of this connection. Maybe they're just torn in terms of emotionally of different things that they want to achieve, and they don't feel like they have the time. They're like almost being driven by money or politics or sex or whatever it is, in terms of the devil, of just going against things that feel spiritual, and this spiritual connection in terms of the Page of Wands, of that kind of being faithful to their intuition. And it just feels like every turn they're just making, like every fork in the road, it's like they know they have the free will to make these decisions, but they just feel like they just can't get out of this rut, and they don't understand why they can't follow their heart, because they feel like they've lost it, because they feel like everything is so big in front of them that it's casting them in a bit of a shadow, so they can't even be them true selves. So it feels like they are wearing almost a mask behind their true selves, the true like sadness they're feeling in a way. And even like this image of under a spell, like there's a really faint smile there, like around all of everything, like it's such a faint person, like a faint image, and maybe that's how they feel, like their facade is slowly cracking. And there's this kind of momentum, this energy of wanting to move on. So I think they felt stuck, and I think they felt that they wanted things to be moving, but they know it's a lot from them. And maybe they know that this is a cycle, that in order for change and for real impactful change to take place in their life, because I think there are major things in terms of, we've got major arcana, major events, major deep unconscious like healing that they need to confront and do, and really reconnect to that heart, that sense of self, to really truly find themselves, to really break out of that box of that prison of where they feel stuck in. There's a lot that they need to do, and maybe they feel in between like who they are and where they are currently and where they want to go. They can almost identify that, and they almost know that they need to go through these cycles, whether good or bad, because one doesn't exist without the other. But maybe they just feel like this relationship has been disrupted for whatever reason, and maybe they feel like they need to move on from it in its current state and really address the imbalance that is going on internally within them, because otherwise their external world is not going to change, because there's always going to be that who's a friend, who's a foe, who can I rely on, who can I trust, and really they need to start trusting themselves and address that imbalance within themselves in order to then free themselves from it, and then their external world will start to shed that and show that too. But it just feels like they're just caught up in the illusion of things, and emotionally they can't find their heart, they can't see it, because they've just lost their way. And it's a really sad place for them to be in, and I just don't feel like they want to. There's that sadness of maybe not even being able to open up, maybe not being able to open up to anyone or feel that they can open up to anyone. And there's that kind of stop in the tracks, and maybe they feel like you've had enough with them being stuck in this cycle, because they are too. And maybe those aren't your feelings. And like I said, this is from their energy. And if they are confronting these things within themselves, then their feelings of anything external can feel skewed. So if you're like, I don't feel this way and about them, they've got that wrong. Obviously, when you're in those states, on that unconscious and that darkness, and you can't see that light necessarily, or it feels very faint within yourself and you're not even tapping into that, you can like disassociate and become, it feels like a bit of an illusion, everything around you. Even if people aren't saying or doing those things, you can feel that, and you feel like that's how they are seeing you, and it's all that self-doubt. And that's what I feel like very heavily they have right now, is that self-doubt, and they want to move on from that. And maybe they can even, like I said, have a bird's eye view and can see that for themselves, and that almost alarm change to listen to their intuition and listen to that light. But it's going to take them that time. So I really want to get some channeled messages as well layered on top of this reading, to get some more things that may not have been said, because I feel like there, especially for this pile, there was a few things maybe that weren't said. I love having you by my side. So maybe your energy kind of, maybe it disrupts them even out of it, or maybe it challenges them to look past all these feelings, and kind of helps them in that way. Or maybe it's kind of bittersweet. Maybe there's sadness in the fact that they can't change the circumstances of what they've done in this relationship. Maybe for some people what they've done is has pushed you away from their side, and this may not be for everyone, but I'm hearing this for some, and maybe they've caused their own sadness by disrupting this connection or putting a stop to it if it was from their side potentially. And maybe they did love having that, but they know that they're not in the place to, and maybe they didn't put it in these words, and maybe that's what's really frustrating, or maybe they didn't even show it in that way, but there's that feeling of want to have someone by them, but in their corner, and maybe they can't see that you were that person, or you were trying to be that for them. But maybe if that doesn't resonate, maybe there's just this feeling of you help them connect to that and kind of push past the things that they are confronting, and almost help them reconnect a bit to that lost heart that they're trying to find, that in between, that kind of that sweet spot and that connection, that touch. We've also got please forgive me. So like I said, that could be for the things that they've done in the past, but like I said, these may be channeled messages of stuff that they didn't say, and maybe that's how that's open and up in the air in terms of the Wheel of Fortune, if they don't know how it's going to change, or whether it's going to change, or whether you guys can move on from this place because of what they've made of it. Like it feels like they feel like they've messed it up in a lot of ways, from all the imbalance within themselves of chasing different things, or not showing their true selves, and that kind of thing. It's actually pushed you maybe further away. Maybe that's how they feel, or maybe they don't know whether they deserve atonement and forgiveness. And they're in between. They feel like they're in the in-between of this connection of whether it's going to move forward or whether it's not. And there's that kind of, that feeling, that mix between hopefulness and hopelessness and hopefulness. That kind of, I don't know which way it's going to go. I don't know whether that is something, and maybe this last meeting still left that feeling of being up in the air, or maybe it was the catalyst for now they don't know if things felt like there was a line drawn under them or something. Maybe they don't know if you will extend that forgiveness, and it feels like that kind of ball's in your court in a way. When can I see you again? So maybe there's that want to reconnect, to have you by their side, to talk more, and maybe you guys were actually disrupted in this conversation. Maybe it had to be put to a stop, a close for some reason. Maybe one of you had to rush off, or maybe the other person walked away and didn't want to, maybe you or them didn't want to talk anymore. Maybe it got all too much. Potentially, maybe that was that pent up emotion. So maybe that's that want to talk again and to find forgiveness, but whether either party actually want that or you do, it is something obviously you'll know within yourself. And we've also got, I feel so powerless. So maybe it's because they know that they don't, maybe they know that they're in a position where they've put this on themselves. They've caused this rupture, this friction within it. And whether that's from the imbalance of themselves internally, that's manifested in their external, either way, it's something that they've got to confront, that they potentially caused this sadness, and maybe sadness of yourself. So maybe they feel powerless, but actually they were the ones that who changed things, that got them into this point. And so it's almost like they are the ones that need to find the power in order to move it forward as well, potentially. So I can kind of, there feels like there's different energies here. So I hope it resonates and it's clicking with you. But let's get some channeled songs as well on this table. So we have got I Want to Dance With Somebody Who Loves Me, Whitney Houston. So again, we have that kind of, I love having you by my side energy, like a dance partner, as it were. So maybe I almost, maybe their feelings are they almost want someone who is going to help them confront things. And actually that's a little bit jarring energy, because they need to fix what they've done almost. And you can be there for someone when they're going through these things, and especially with what they're confronting, but they need to take accountability. So maybe they want people to depend on and people to be there for them. And of course there's that energy, but Spirit's saying for some people who want to help and be there and that kind of thing, of course love helps transcend, but you can't lose yourself in the process. So you need to have your boundaries and your clear idea of what energy you will and won't accept. And remember, you don't have to take on everything by yourself, and there are lots of people in their community that they can talk to as well. And so I Want to Dance With Somebody Who Loves Me, maybe they are just trying to find the love, that their heart in the situation of that darkness, and maybe there's that feeling there. And obviously you have free will of whether you want to be that person and everything, but don't feel like you have to be as well, especially if there's that hurt there from that please forgive me and stuff. So please do take that and obviously use your own judgment and your own sense of whether you're able to give that time and energy too. We've got Cry Me a River, Justin Timberlake. So Cry Me a River of Tears, Cry Me a River of Emotions in a lot of ways. And I feel like that's much more what they almost feel like you feel, in a way of like you're kind of done with their energy of and that there's almost that please forgive me within that song, like that that pleading with the Justin Timberlake voice, as it were. And so maybe there's that feeling of, from your end, that's how they think you feel. We've got 13, big star. And this is almost going back to the purity of the relationship, like the innocence, and maybe that wanting to move on and start again, as it were. But 13 as well, in terms of our tarot, is the Hanged Man. And again, there's that feeling of powerlessness, but actually the peace that comes with surrender and almost loss and of defeat, how you almost become aware of it and almost relaxed in it, because you're like, well, I've got to be at peace with it because I can't change anything. So maybe there's that feeling within them finding their own enlightenment in terms of 13, but also 13 is the number of fate as well. So I don't personally prescribe to fate, but maybe this was a kind of reckoning almost that they needed to confront in terms of big star, maybe a big event in terms of, like, I'm thinking star astro chart sort of thing. Maybe this was a big thing that they needed to learn in terms of that. But that may not resonate at all. But with that 13 feeling, it's almost like going back to the innocence. Can it be reignited, or can we regress, as it were, to like the infancy of the relationship? And Endless Love, Lionel Richie and Diana Ross. Endless Love, great song, but I always think of just Chandler in that chair with that vinyl, like hugging it, and Phoebe coming in being like, my endless love. But I think there's that kind of the heartbreak that I feel from that, and them almost consoling themselves as Chandler is, and that almost Phoebe friendship coming in. That's the main thing the image that I'm seeing, is that actually the friendship of the situation, and their friends, and actually them being a friend to themselves, is the thing that's going to help and catalyst their healing, and not wallowing in the past, as it were. They need to start forgiving themselves and take accountability for what they've done and learn from it and show that. And maybe that's through friendship that they start to do that. So maybe it's even if you do want to help this person but you don't want the romantic things attached at this moment in time because you can't, then friendship can be a thing that leads you towards that. But also friends may be there to help them in some way. So yeah, there feels like loads of different layers here, but also that endless love, like, and that 13 big star, that innocence, that connection. Obviously it will be different for whatever happened with that please forgive me and what actually happened, and you are justified in your feelings and you feel everything you need to feel, but there is that feeling of sadness from them, from their perspective, and maybe that endless love feeling of like their love hasn't run out, even if you're not there. Like they feel maybe disrupted in it, even if it is of their own making, but obviously, like I said, that does not necessarily have to be how you feel, and you do not have to feel the same way. So my lovely friends of pile 5, I'm going to leave that reading there for you guys today. Like I said, thank you so much for letting me read your cards. I hope it resonated with you and your situation. I'm sending so much love. If you'd like to see me again, please do hit that subscribe button. Until then, I really hope to see you guys soon. Bye.